Well, howdy there, folks. Each one of these tales I'm about to share with you was downright scary. Each one got my heart pounding something fierce, and to tell you the truth, you're going to want to hang in there till the end. I sure do appreciate all of you tuning in like this. And without wasting any more time, let's dive right into some of these bone-chilling, frightening stories that folks have sent my way. I've been keeping up with this here channel for quite a spell now, and I've grown real fond of all the stories you've been putting out there for us. That's the main reason I figured I'd share one of my own experiences with you. Something that's still mighty peculiar to me even after all these years. And I swear on my life, it's the honest truth. This all went down about 15 years back. My uncle was putting up a house out in what used to be a pretty isolated spot in the countryside. By that point, he'd thrown together something that resembled a little shack just for throwing get-togethers and such. There weren't any bedrooms or nothing like that, just a big old table, a kitchen area, a bathroom, and a couch all crammed into one big open room. Now, this little place was built mostly out of glass walls and windows. That's a key detail right there, and it'll start making a whole lot more sense as I go along. Right smack next to it, he was working on a much bigger house. But he got his own bedroom done, first up on the first floor, while the ground level stayed unfinished for a good long while. My mom and I would crash in that upstairs room, and down below, the ground floor was just secured with a simple piece of wood over the door. That was about all the protection we had to rely on. One evening, it was coming up on almost a full year since my grandma had passed away. She absolutely adored that spot out there. In fact, that's one of the big reasons my uncle picked up that land and started building in the first place, to honor her memory and all. My mom and I were just sitting out on the porch of that unfinished bigger house. Our plan for the night was to play a game of Scrabble, same as we did most evenings since we were out there by ourselves. My uncle was off on a vacation somewhere. My dad was pulling a shift at work, and my brother was staying over at our cousin's place for the summer break. We got the table all set up and laid out the game board right there. Once everything was ready to go, we started picking our letters at random to kick things off. I'm not sure if the rules are exactly the same everywhere you go, but the way we played, you had to draw 7 letters without peeking, just relaxing and chatting away. My mom was gabbing with me and didn't even glance at her letters yet. She was just absent-mindedly arranging them on a rack before she bothered to look and come up with a word. Now, our first language is Spanish, so I'll make sure to explain this next part clear as day so everybody can follow along. When my mom finally looked down at her letters, her face went as pale as a ghost, and she clammed up right in the middle of our conversation. I asked her what in the world was wrong, and she flipped her rack around to show me. Staring back at me was the word cuidado. Let me tell you, that word means danger or beware in Spanish. My mom hadn't put that together on purpose. She hadn't even looked at her pieces until that moment. We both just sat there in dead silence, our eyes glued to those letters, not able to tear ourselves away. I brought up my grandma earlier in the story. The fact is, ever since she passed on, we've all had some strange, unexplainable things happen around that place. It felt like her spirit was still lingering around the house even after she was gone from this world. What was unfolding right then, and there seemed like another one of those eerie occurrences. What on earth was she trying to alert us about? We snapped to attention real quick, keeping our eyes and ears peeled for anything out of the ordinary around us. My uncle's property didn't have any fence around it, and right in front of us was a river that was running real low on water because there hadn't been much rain lately. On the other side of that river, there were these big mountains rising up. After what seemed like just a few minutes ticked by, we heard some footsteps coming from out front, which made us both jump clear out of our chairs. The area ahead was pitch black, since the house didn't have any floodlights or strong lamps to light up the wildland out there. My mom hollered out, "Who's there?" And from the shadows, a man's voice called back, "Sorry, ma'am, I didn't mean to frighten you." Then, from the path leading down to the river, this fellow stepped into view. He was dressed all ragged, like someone without a home, and had a little sack slung over his shoulder down to his hip. I should mention that this neck of the woods had a bunch of what we called hippies living around, folks who set up in tents or simple shacks up in the hills, and they were known to dabble in all sorts of drugs and whatnot. Back then, there weren't a ton of tales about them breaking into places or getting violent like you hear nowadays, but we knew they were out there roaming. This man came a bit closer toward us. As my mom stood up and positioned herself at the edge of the porch, he said, "I was wondering if you might spare some bread. I've been walking all day, and I'm starving." My mom walked over to our table, grabbed a bag full of pastries we'd had, and went halfway down the steps. The guy moved into the light a little more, so we could get a better look at him. He came up to a tree where my mom hung the bag, and then he asked, "Do you happen to have some water as well?" She went back to the table, picked up an empty bottle, and filled it from a nearby faucet without ever leaving our sight. That's when the guy turned his gaze right on me. I was only 11 years old at the time, but growing up in a rough part of town had made me pretty tough. I wasn't easily scared by strangers, and I had a bold streak in me. My uncle kept a machete around for chopping branches and clearing weeds, which my mom had nearby, and I grabbed it without thinking, just on instinct. When my mom came back with the water for him, the guy looked at her and said, "So, is it just the two of you out here all alone?" Even now, just thinking about those words gives me chills all over again, same as it did back then. A cold shiver ran straight down my back hearing that. My mom, doing her best to stay calm and collected, replied, "No, we're not alone. Why do you ask?" He came back with, "It just looks so isolated out here, and I didn't see any man around, so I got curious." My mom turned away from him and said, "Maybe you ought to mind your own affairs a little better," as she climbed back up the porch steps. The guy shot one more look my way before vanishing back into the night. My mom, now clearly rattled and showing it, told me to hurry inside the little party house my uncle had built. We locked the front door tight and jammed a chair up against the side entrance for extra measure. Since we didn't have a car there, we were pretty much fending for ourselves. No neighbors were living in the nearby houses at the time. I sat down facing all those glass walls and doors. That's when I spotted the guy again, standing on the porch steps, peering through the bushes. Fear started creeping in for real. Our phone had no signal because there weren't any cell towers close by in that remote area. We were truly on our own. With this fellow now straight up stalking us, my mom tried to act like there were more folks in the house by opening the only window and yelling out my dad's name. But that guy could see everything inside clear as day. Remember, since the whole place was basically glass from top to bottom, after about 20 minutes of failed attempts to reach the police, I watched my mom grab the machete and plant herself in front of the window. The man was out on the porch, staring us down. We could make out his face now. It was blank and emotionless, but looked ready for a scrap if it came to that. He still had his bag with him, and his face was filthy, even though the river was right there and calm enough for him to clean up if he wanted. He was tall, but not overly muscular. 10 minutes later, he went down the steps and out of sight again. We tried to eat some supper, but we couldn't take our eyes off the glass, scanning every direction to check if he was lurking somewhere close. It felt like we were animals in a cage, on display for his amusement. Once we figured he was gone for good, we left the little house and dashed over to the bigger one, racing up to the first floor to lock ourselves in the bedroom. Up there, we finally got a weak signal to call the police, but they said the only patrol car in town was tied up checking the mountains. My mom killed all the lights, keeping the machete close, while we strained to hear any little sound that might mean we weren't alone. Everything stayed quiet for about an hour. My mom kept checking the door every so often. Yeah, that door was glass too, to see if anything showed up on the stairs leading to the room. Around 2 in the morning, my mom got up to look again and froze solid, staring down the stairs. She pressed right up against the glass, gripping the machete so tight it scared me for a second. I guess her protective instincts were firing on all cylinders, stronger than any other point that night. I tried to approach the door myself, but my mom screamed at me like I'd never heard before. Still, I inched closer and peered through the glass. There he was, standing on the stairs, grinning at us. I can't even put into words how terrified I felt. My mom shoved me back and tossed her phone at me. I dialed the police again, but my mom started shouting, cutting off the operator. The operator got worried and said she'd reroute the car back to town, but it might take a while since they were coming from the mountains. From then on, my mom kept yelling all sorts of things at the guy, totally losing her composure. I saw her go quiet and exhale, saying, "He's gone now," just before the police showed up. But the guy came back to the door and tried to force it open. He was fumbling in his bag for something, but the sound of the police arriving spooked him. He bolted from the house as the officers burst through the yard gate, and they heard my mom yelling from the bedroom window, "He's up here now, catch him." The cops searched high and low and told us to stay put no matter what. After a bit, one came back and shouted, "We found something, ma'am. We'll return shortly." I couldn't say how long, but we heard their car peel out. A couple hours later, the same officers came back and asked us to come downstairs. We did, and they looked real concerned. The older one said they tracked the guy down, hiding by the river among rocks and bushes. When they searched him, he was high as a kite on drugs, and in his bag was a gun. They also mentioned they'd been hunting for him because he'd been groping folks visiting the river over the past few days. I don't know his exact plans, but they weren't good, that's for sure. I still rack my brain over that Scrabble game and how it warned us. Needless to say, my mom and I never stayed there alone again. I'll never forget his face or that wicked smile. We ought to fear the dead less often. Fear the living instead. Thanks for your time, Ray, and all your hard work. Hey there, Ray. I just discovered your channel, and I'm hooked on these viewer stories. I listen while doing chores or on long drives. I've got lots of tales, but this one's the scariest. This was back in the early 2000s. My family lived in Illinois and went camping a lot as kids. We'd usually hit White Pine State Park in Mount Morris, Illinois. My sister was about 5, me 7 or 8. We pulled into the campground, and it was oddly empty for a weekend. We figured we got lucky and set up camp. Our site was across from a curve in the road. We did normal camping stuff, games, catching fireflies at dusk, roasting marshmallows. Bedtime came. Our tent had 3 sections, a main area and 2 side pockets. One for gear, the other where my sister and I slept. We all settled in with bright military-grade glow sticks. Enough light to feel safe but not keep you awake. We drifted off, but around 2 in the morning, my mom woke with a bad feeling. She checked on us and saw my sister sitting up. Mom asked if she was okay, but my sister turned calmly and whispered, "The devil is behind you." Mom freaked, thinking maybe sleep-talking or mistaking Dad, but he was asleep. Mom felt we had to leave right then, woke Dad and me, packed us in the car, and drove home, leaving everything till morning. Next day, we returned, and the ranger asked if we were from that site. Parents said yes, and the ranger mentioned the night ranger saw us leave fast, asked if all was well. Parents explained, and the ranger looked spooked. He said 2 weeks earlier, at the site across on the curve, a man was run over in his tent by a drunk driver who missed the turn, killed instantly. That's why it was empty. We never camped there again. My sister doesn't remember saying that. Coincidence? Maybe. Creepy? Absolutely. If this doesn't make a video, thanks for reading. I could write a book on my spooky experiences. Reach out if you want more. Keep it up. Thanks, Sam. Thanks a bunch, Sam, for sharing. Gave me goosebumps the whole way. Didn't see that twist coming. I didn't know what to expect. So scary, disturbing, creepy, unpredictable. I've read hundreds of stories, but this surprised me. Felt real and terrifying. Your sister saying that chilled me, but the death reveal, goosebumps. Great story. Thanks. Send more to the email, mention Sam. Folks watching, comment if it scared you like me. Creep me out big time. Yeah. Unsettling, but glad you're okay. Hello, hey. Before I get going, I want to say I really enjoy your content, especially the ones about skinwalkers and other mysterious creatures, because they're just so entertaining to hear about. Lucky for me, this story of mine doesn't involve any of those kinds of beasts, since running into something like that in real life would be absolutely terrifying. Even so, what I'm about to tell might interest some people, even if it's not the most over-the-top horrifying thing you've ever heard. I apologize if it runs a little long, but here we go anyway. This all took place back in 2009, right in Cleveland, Ohio. I was just 4 years old, living with my mom, dad, and sister in this big, beautiful blue house that was 2 stories high. It stood among a bunch of other similar homes in a regular suburban neighborhood. The area was safe, full of kids playing around, and friendly folks everywhere. There was even a park close by that my sister and I would visit all the time. At that young age, there wasn't much that could really scare me or leave a lasting mark, but that didn't stop me from having nightmares pretty regularly after my parents tucked me into bed. These days, I can explain most of them away as just the typical night terrors that little kids go through when they're still figuring out the world, because anything unknown can seem frightening when you're that small. But there was one particular nightmare that was so strange and out of the ordinary, I can't just dismiss it as something a child's imagination cooked up on its own. Unlike the other bad dreams that have faded from my memory over the years, this one sticks with me clear as day even now. It began with me being all by myself at the neighborhood park. I didn't realize I was dreaming, of course, but right away, I knew something was off because the sky above me was this deep blood red color. It wasn't the pretty red you see mixed with oranges and pinks in a sunrise or sunset. No, sir, it was a solid, unbroken red. The sky was also packed with dark, heavy storm clouds, though there wasn't any rain falling or wind blowing. Naturally, this scared the daylights out of me. Even a 4-year-old knows the sky is usually blue during the day or black at night. But what happened next was even worse. As I looked up at the sky, I noticed something poking out through a gap in the clouds. As the clouds shifted away, it came fully into view. It was the sun, but way bigger than normal and completely black, almost like a total solar eclipse, but without that glowing orange ring around it. The second I laid eyes on it, a wave of dread washed over me, like I instinctively knew there was something deeply wrong and evil about that sun and the red sky around it. I glanced around desperately for anyone who could help me, but the park was empty. In a panic, I started running, hoping to make it back to the safety of my house. As I ran, almost felt like that black sun was staring right at me, like it wanted to do me harm. I was about halfway home, tears pouring down my face, when a car suddenly pulled up beside me. It was my grandma, someone I loved more than anything because she was always so kind and easygoing. But in this dream, she looked dead serious because of what was happening, which was nothing like her usual self. She told me to hurry and get in the car, and I didn't hesitate, feeling relieved to be with her. We drove back to my house, and after reuniting with my family, I rushed up to the room I shared with my sister on the second floor. Hiding up there only eased my fear a tiny bit, because I knew that awful sun was still out there. Before I woke up, the last thing I remember is staring out the window at that black sun, filled with terror about what might happen next. Looking back on it now, I can say for sure that as a 4-year-old, I had no idea what a solar eclipse even was, or how they're sometimes shown in religious or spiritual stories. I'm not all that religious myself. I believe in God, but don't dwell much on Bible tales, but maybe that's what the dream was hinting at. I've only shared this with my close family and friends, and one buddy said it reminded him of something from the Berserk manga series. Another odd thing is that my mom says I woke her up several times talking about the same black sun dream, even though I only remember having it once. I stopped having those night terrors not long after. But the weird stuff didn't end there. Both my parents said they saw me sleepwalking when I was little, which I eventually grew out of too. Anyway, I reckon that's all I have to say about it. Ray, if you're reading this, thanks a lot. Sorry again if it was too drawn out. Alex, I just want to tell you, I love your videos, and they've inspired me to send in this story of mine. I enjoy having them playing in the background while I work, or sometimes just listening on their own, because your voice is so relaxing yet eerie at the same time. This one's mostly about sleep paralysis, which might explain the whole thing away, but in the moment, it felt incredibly scary and real. Also, if you're reading this, sorry it's so lengthy. No problem. This happened a few years ago. One day, I was out browsing at a charity and antique shop, which felt stuffy and hard to breathe in for me, though everyone else said they were fine. After poking around for a while, I ended up in the taxidermy area and spotted a doll tucked away in a corner, hidden instead of with the other dolls about 5 feet over. For some reason, I felt drawn to this doll and ended up buying it. I took it home that night, and nothing seemed amiss. I cleaned her up and set her next to my bed. That night, I woke up in sleep paralysis, which I'd experienced once or twice before getting the doll. When I looked over, I saw an old lady shushing a crying child on the other bed in my room. And for whatever reason, the doll seemed to be staring right at me. I don't know if it was just the paralysis or if I'd moved it while asleep. Needless to say, I shut my eyes quick and drifted back to sleep, not wanting to stick around and see what happened next. The next day, I had to head back to my mom's place and brought the doll along. I placed it on a shelf across the room, making sure it wasn't facing me directly. I couldn't shake this feeling that something was always watching me, though I don't know why. I kept having sleep paralysis after that. Nothing too out of the ordinary, just frozen in darkness. But about a week later, I had the worst episode yet. When I woke up, I didn't realize I was paralyzed. So I got up and walked to the door, but my hand passed right through the handle. I looked back at my bed and saw myself sleeping there. Then suddenly I was back in bed. I did it again, still in this out-of-body state, but this time poked my head out the door and met pure darkness and overwhelming dread. I pulled back into the room, and when I turned, I swear the doll was staring at my body again. Now there was this huge black mass, like a creature made of arms and legs, crawling fast toward my body, but I snapped back and woke up before it reached me. I stayed out of that room for a while because it flooded, which had never happened before the doll. Now I'm back in there, feeling the same dread and like I'm watched, but whenever I think of ditching the doll, I get this sense something bad will happen. So now, I'm stuck not knowing what to do. Hey, I just want to say I love your videos. You tell them so well, and I hope you hit your subscriber goal. Anyway, on to my story. This was when I was 5 or 6, so my little brother, about 3, and I were fooling around in the basement. We had a big bouncy house back then. It's fine to be envious. We were bouncing when my brother had to go upstairs for something. I said, okay, go ahead. For some reason, the light was flickering, which was kind of creepy, I'll admit. I was on the bouncy house when I heard a noise. It sounded like someone trying to talk to me. So I turned off the bouncy house and heard clear as day my dad say, "Anna, come up here." So I thought, why not? And headed up the basement stairs. To my horror, my dad wasn't there. I called for him over and over, but he was in his bedroom. I asked how he got there so fast. He said he didn't know what I meant. He'd been in his room the whole time. I still don't know who or what called me up. Thanks for reading. Hope this makes a video. Good morning, afternoon, or night, Ray, whenever you see this. Even though I just started watching your videos a few hours ago, I really like them and want to share 3 stories, since I don't have many folks to tell except those who've heard them. Every house I've lived in has been haunted. When I was younger, we lived in a 2-story house where the landlord practiced voodoo on the property. The second house, when I started 2nd grade, had shadows and odd happenings. I'd see a tall man in a top hat walking the yard, hear family voices calling my name even when alone or they were elsewhere, making me paranoid as a kid. The first and most recent story was when I was 13 to 14. I'm 17 now, turning 18 in December, but but I remember vividly because it's so unnerving and unexplained. Around April or May of 2020 to 2022, can't recall exact, my mom, two sisters, and I moved into a new apartment. We started moving in April and settled by late April, early May. We moved into this brand new apartment in a busy local part of town, more residents than tourists. This happened the first night we slept there after unpacking and cleaning. I was in my mom's room with her, lying next to her scrolling on my phone. Her bed faced the door and closet. My older sister left our shared room for the kitchen. Right after, a short, light-skinned woman with a decrepit, blurry, burnt face peeked into the room. She had uneven, chopped black hair over her shoulders and face, wearing an eerie smile before vanishing. I know I wasn't hallucinating because my mom asked if I saw the lady. I said yes. It wasn't my sister pranking. She's dark-skinned, taller, with short, thick 4B or 4C hair, totally different. Mom surprised me by telling me to check and ask my sister. I looked at her like she was nuts, asking why she was sending me to whatever that was. She complained about me being scared. Looking back, anyone would be, but I went to the kitchen and asked my sister if she peeked. She said no, confused. I got more scared. If not her, who? I checked the bathroom next to Mom's room, but empty. The manhole entrance was in the bathroom. You had to walk under it to enter, part of why I hesitated. I still don't know who she was. Haven't seen her since. The house gets creepy. I hate being alone feeling watched. The second story happened around September to October 2016 after Hurricane Matthew hit the Bahamas when I was 8 or 9. I lived in rural Nassau, New Providence, near Coral Harbor and Adelaide, close to the airport and Albany Resort. This is the second house with shadows and voices. The area had houses only on the left. Right was pine forest, bush, and I think a shooting range, since I'd hear gunshots. Power was out from the hurricane, knocking down lines. It was late night, so Mom lit candles. My siblings and I were in her room, hating the dark. I lay by her door, next to my oldest sister's. Her door was a hallway end, so looking out, you see fridge and part of island counter. I stared at the counter in a trance. My sister in front vanished from view. Suddenly, a figure of a man in ragged old-fashioned clothes, green and see-through, with messy chopped hair, decomposing skin, leg mostly bone and flesh. But scarier, he was reaching for the knife by a candle on the counter. I shot up terrified out of the trance. My sister asked what was wrong. I don't recall answering but told Mom later, maybe days. Crazier, my other sister saw the exact same, described identically. Months later, I had a nightmare of the scene and sleep paralysis. This time, he had the knife and threatened to kill my family. I woke crying, told Mom in the morning. The third story in the same house. I was older, 10 or 11. Don't remember date, just details. Afternoon, in kitchen washing dishes, maybe making noodles, looked out window. It overlooks front lawn, cesspit, garage, road. Looking at garage and road, a white flowing figure appeared, walking from garbage. Not a bag, see-through, walk human-like. I stared shocked as I went down the road and vanished. Still don't know what, don't want to. I have more stories of shadows and voices, but my ability to see them faded as I grew older, maybe from skepticism. Still feel watched alone, hear voices rarely. Kinda sad, missing the thrill of seeing shadows. I encountered a monster in my backyard at 11. Hello, Ray. I watch your videos nightly for months as sleep noise. Heard so many true, spooky stories. Time to share mine. Recently talked to my friend who saw it too. Confirmed I'm not crazy. Nice reassurance. I said backyard, but it was at Grandma's where I practically lived. A fire in neighbor's woods. Fire trucks drove through, leaving a trail in her woods. I wasn't there, so unsure. Weeks later, me and cousin, call her Ellis, walked an old trail, found a new one. New trail meant safer exploring, no twigs or ankle risks. Trail was U-shaped, two ends. We explored, found clothes, trash, carpet. Further, a huge weeping willow secluded. Important later. If you don't know, weeping willow slants like falling. Name for falling on husbands, leaving widows weeping. For days, we played until deciding to enter separate ends for a lone thrill. I think I went first. She got water or bathroom. Walk was nice, scenic. Enjoyed alone, felt brave, peaceful. Then twig snapped far right. Brushed off as squirrel or cat. We had many. Debunked when snapping got rapid, louder, closer fast. Spooked, but didn't assume quick. I'm stoic, hard to rattle. Desensitized from horror movies young. Noise stopped. Called myself coward for pausing, continued. Minutes later, corner of eye. Big figure. Animal or human. Didn't matter. Huge. Behind tree. Scurried when I looked. Didn't overthink. Mind tricks sometimes. But paranoid. Sped up hoping to meet Ellis soon. No luck. Approaching weeping willow. Twigs snapped louder. Realized thing 20 feet or less closing. Ran to willow. Only tree big enough to hide, though poor spot. As I ran, saw it, made of skin, patchy, dirty, ugly. Shoulder blades above head, humpback. Arms long to ground, triangular like bat or pterodactyl wing. Bear-sized animal hind legs, ran like gorilla on steroids. Amped on energy drinks and Adderall. Fast. Hid behind tree, quiet. Peeked. It sprinted past into dense woods. I can't run well. Legs buckle. Happened 4 times, 2 injuries. Asthmatic, anemic. But I ran for life, forgot holes, breathing. Saw Ellis. Ran to her saying leave. She heard something, but nothing of it. My sprint despite conditions. My fear scared her. We ran out fast. Never back. Overgrown now. Wonder what, Mothman? Skinwalker? Hope no more encounters. Sorry if short or not scary, but pleasure sharing. Hope enjoyed. Hey Ray, call me Winnie. Before starting, your videos mean much. Help sleep, focus at work. Love them. Keep going. Even if not featured, nice to share. Man on Subway. I live in New York City Center, the Big Apple. Lots creepy from crowds, drugs. Some stand out, make you wonder. Story on Subway to Manhattan, midday, broad daylight. Heading for date with new guy, excited. Nervous alone on Subway with crime spike, brought friend for ride. Bus to Subway, fine 12 stops. Transfer to Manhattan bound. Atmosphere shifted. Not scary, but dimmer, quieter, like Tim Burton film. Bluish gray. Chatter stopped as doors closed. Next train came, brushed off, stood in random car, no seats. After stops, everyone off but me, friend man. Creepy guy, bald, all black, trench coat, briefcase. At least 6'5", imposing but emaciated. Skinny, hollow cheeks, dark eyes, long sharp nails. Didn't want to stare but did. Felt need to watch or he'd act. Sure he saw but no reaction. New Yorkers no eye contact, but I stared hard. No response. 2 stops, he moves after still. Looks down, pulls penny from pocket. Movement slow, deliberate. Nervous waiting. Examined penny, placed meticulously on seat, adjusted. Pulled sachet from pocket, gripped briefcase. 1 stop left. As stopping in Manhattan, he grins wide, eerie at me like I know you watched. Scared, gripped friend. Ran out looking for date. Sweating, asked her what was that. She said what? I said the guy with penny, smile, tall, bald, scary. She looked crazy, went what guy? Alone last 5 stops. Heart sank. We stood 4 feet from him whole ride. Looked back, penny there not dreaming. Asked date if saw anyone else exit. Said only us. Swear he left after placing penny, but only I saw. Never shook watch feeling, but date went well. Together half year now. Friend swears I dreamt, but I know. May not climactic, but no explanation. Ray, viewers, ideas? To that guy leaving payment at crossroads, let's not meet. Honestly, no idea. Creepy. Expected confrontation, but ghost? Weird, interesting. Penny's still there. Yeah, clueless. Viewers, ideas? Super scary, but unscathed, great. Thanks. Next one. Hey Ray, thanks for reading. Love listening while playing Minecraft or writing. Keep up. Hope well. True story of me, brothers growing up exploring woods. Happened at 14 or 15. Brothers E12, N 10, friend T. Explored woods when parents worked. Lived in project apartments between highway, small mountain ridge. Apartment small for rowdy us. Mom made us outside or rec house. Woods natural choice weekends till lights or call. When often, Mom got walkie-talkies for distance. Over years, found homeless tents, hidden katanas, once headless dead dog. Usually built for it, but this day explored new. T front, and I behind. After 20-30 minutes, new area. Clearing with kudzu. Invasive here, so not unusual. Entering, hairs up, forest quieter. Crossed a tree line, quiet to silent. Through underbrush, corner, head peeking over cliff log, watching us. They unaware, looking ahead. They near cliff. I stopped, feet glued, eyes wide as it stood, stared back. Panic, screamed someone up there. They confused, looked gone. No one, they said. Panic more, knew I saw. Not kidding, something watching. My seriousness edged him. En skeptikad. Don't recall exact, but T said I stay, they check. Watched them climb the log. Felt unwelcome. Swear when they said nothing. Voice whispered run, inches from ear. Scream leave, heard something. They ran down. I bolted, them following. Shouted for explanation. Kept running. Stopped near fort. Mom's walkie called dinner. Night tried convince. They didn't believe, thought imagining. Been back. No uneasiness. Other weird since, unrelated. Now 24, moved to middle nowhere, Tennessee. Thanks, more scary later. Hello Ray, great day hoped. Love channel while working, painting, Congrats, 500,000 subscribers. Keep awesome. Story not fist-clenching horror, but adrenaline-pumped. Paint picture, decide. Early spring 2016, heading home from work. Route daily, 15-minute walk from bus. Work call center, many nights. This one, routine, work, commute, stress, home hobbies, sleep. Repeat. Exited bus, driver logged, and shift. Past midnight, no one. Occasional car, but quiet suburb, expected empty. Two dogs slept by fast food at stop. Cross street, walk sidewalk to neighborhood. Well lit. Spring air soothing. Loved walks despite drained. Call center folks get appreciating silence. No crowds, noise. Enjoying peace, wind and trees. Glimpsed two reflective dots 50 meters down. Before processing, shadow sprinted full speed at me. Second realized dog. Froze, mind racing what do. Nowhere run. Left tall fence across empty field, road, closed buildings. No stones, people, cars help. Just me, dog. Last moment, grabbed keys from bag. Clenched fist to stab if attacked. Love dogs, never trouble but threaten now. Deep breath, thought jump. Held keys firm, other hand up protect neck/face. Suddenly there, hopeless. Huge dog, above waist. I'm 5'4", largest seen, could drag me. Black coat, abyss-like. Sound claws, asphalt. Heavy breath, my heart. Came beside, deep growl, then barking. Bone-chilling, hellhound nightmare. But intact, feared but not attacked. Dog fixated behind me. Turned slow, nothing. Followed gaze, nothing. Other two dogs now standing, looking our way, not barking, observing. If person ran, would have heard footsteps, quiet night. No souls, approaching, running. Nothing. Yet, dog barked determined, felt resonate body, echoed silence. Stood 30 seconds? Minute? Longer? Scanned street for what? If disliked other dogs, why not look them? They slept peaceful before, not focused on. Then silent. Last echo gone, turned head, looked eyes. Snapped reality, thought, get home. Resumed walking. Dog followed immediately. Not first followed, but never like this. Usually wagtails, attention, pleading food, lick, follow but run around, sniff, mark, let advance, catch up. Dog behavior. Not this. Match steps, body press leg. Didn't move away, speed, push. Accepted. Focused breathing, chase fear. Didn't want smell, fear, threaten. Spoke gentle, quiet. Good boy, thank you. No reaction, look, wag. Just walked like shadow. 2-3 times, look back, brief. No bark, reaction. Followed. Eternity, reached building. Bottom stairs, stopped following. Entered, looked back, glass doors. Looked eyes. Stood seconds. Gently. Thank you. Turned, went home. Didn't look back more. New watch till outside. Home. Window check if still gone. Plan food for friendship if see again. But never before, after. Frequented route daily. Only interaction with black beast. Calmed, realized protected from what he saw. Never know, nothing there. But he knew. Whatever. Remember, grateful. Night could have darker without him. Thanks again, good boy. Hope good life. Thanks all listening. Be safe, Anna. Mirror on wall. 100% true. Comment free. Begin. Young. Always strange, peculiar. Extremely sick child. Almost died, twice pneumonia. Diagnosed chronic asthmatic. Parents thought wouldn't make. Survived somehow. Wonder why. Think often. Why me, not others? Eats me. Theory. Soul between living, spiritual. When back living, something came. Always weird view. Seeing others couldn't. Still do. 31. First recall. 5. Visiting grandma. Morning tea table. Grandma made pancakes, jam cream. Told parents bathroom need. Left kitchen, right down hall. Right bathroom. Grandma had huge round mirror across bathroom on wall. Terrified, closing doors then. So left open, facing mirror. Suddenly, watched feeling. Looked mirror. Old man staring. Screamed. Parents ran panicked. Tears. Asked what? Said man in mirror. Thought imagining. Carried living room. Held till calm. Grandma asked look like. Silent. I stopped photo coffee table. Grandma man arms around. Pointed man at. Silence. Parents asked sure, yes. Man granddad. Died before born. Illness post-war. Guess wanted meet, never chance. Never visited again, but believe protects, guides. Things stranger older. More paranormal? Let know. Plenty. Thanks reading. Thanks much. Wraps today's video, frightening stories. Comment thoughts. Enjoyed, loved. Love subscriber stories. Like, subscribe.